Texas is one of the best states in the United States for roller coasters and amusement parks. You have 2 Six Flags parks, a SeaWorld park, some seaside parks, plus a few others. And I have visited almost all these parks. So in this video, I will rank the top 10 parks I have personally visited in all of Texas. And I'm going to give each park an overall ranking, plus I will also rank them relative to each other in 4 main categories: roller coasters, non-coasters, atmosphere, and operations. Starting off this list at number 10 is Tom Foolerys Adventure Park in Round Rock. Located in the newest Kalahari resort, this indoor arcade and family entertainment center has a diverse attraction lineup. For coaster enthusiasts, the star will be Screamin' Centipede, a SBF Visa Big Air coaster. This ride is located in the center of the park, and it's unique how it combines 2 vehicles into one. You have spinning cars for families, and then the hamster wheel for thrill seekers. I have a separate review on this coaster if you want to learn more about it. In terms of the other rides, most are targeted towards children, but you do have one of the rare Zamperla Nebulas in the Red, White, and Woo. Beyond the mechanical rides, you also have some active attractions like rock climbing walls, a ropes course, laser tag, and escape rooms. And if you're an arcade fan, you'll find a fleet of modern arcade games here as well. The park has really long hours and the staff was friendly, but the park had an erratic ride operating schedule where certain attractions would close throughout the day with no warning. This is a great park for younger guests especially, and I have a separate review on this place if you want to learn more. Number 9. Sandy Lake Amusement Park in Carrollton. Unfortunately, this family park closed after the 2018 season. I visited this park in its later years, and it definitely felt a bit run down. But the park had a laid-back atmosphere, and it was fully staffed. And that staff was extremely friendly. The park was also extremely affordable. Admission was just $2, and rides were roughly $2 a piece. The star attraction should have been the classic pretzel dark ride, but sadly most of the effects were either missing or deactivated the day I visited. I felt like I was riding through a dark and empty oven for most of the ride. The actual highlight ended up being the park's extensive collection of rare flat rides, most notably a Rockoplane. And then the park also had 2 kiddie coasters. Dragon Wagon was a challenge to fit on, but Little Dipper was enjoyable with a frightening head chopper with a tree branch overhead. The calling card for this park seemed to be all the picnic pavilions for families and company outings. Number 8. YesterLand Farm in Canton. This is a bizarre amusement park. This place started out as a Christmas tree farm before expanding their offerings to include amusement rides. A majority of the rides are geared towards kids, and almost all the rides are small, portable ones that can literally be rented out on their website. But you do have 2 noteworthy flat rides. The Super Gyrosphere is one of the most intense flat rides in the world, with the disorienting and non-stop flipping. I have a separate review on this one. And Mindwinder is a unique spinning ride that you can spin faster than the top. I came off this one about as dizzy as I ever have after any ride. For coasters, you have 2 kiddie coasters. Santa's Runaway Sleigh is your typical coaster for kids, but Range is an exceptionally rough and bumpy one. I would recommend avoiding this ride. This park has a unique atmosphere since it's a farm first, but they did a good job adding some decorations for the Christmas event when I visited. I also have a separate review in this park posted if you want to learn more. Number 7. Galveston Island Historic Pleasure Pier in Galveston. One of 2 seaside parks in Texas, this one is literally built on a pier that extends over the water. It is a beautiful location for a park, and many of the rides use this setting to their advantage, as several extend over the side of the pier. The park is very cramped, especially if you visit on a busier day, but there's a lot of kinetic energy from the rides buzzing adjacent to the midway. The park has fast operations, and the ride lineup, while small, is decent for a park like this. The highlight is Iron Shark, a Gerstlauer Eurofighter with lap bar only trains, a great first drop, and some forceful maneuvers. The park also is one of the most soaking log flumes out there in Pirate's Plunge, which is refreshing on a hot day. And then you have some interesting flat rides, including Texas Starflyer, a 230-foot or 70-meter tall swing ride that gives some of the most breathtaking views of any attraction. Number 6. ZDT's Amusement Park in Seguin. This family-run park has something for everyone because of how diverse the ride lineup is. This park has an arcade, a water park, and an amusement park. This place is incredibly small, but the place has a lot of character. The park is on the site of a former agricultural center, so the park reused existing buildings for attractions, with the most notable example being the silo climb rock wall. And this is not only the friendliest park in Texas, but it may be one of the friendliest parks in the world. The staff really makes you feel at home. But the top ride here is undeniably Switchback, the world's only shuttle wooden roller coaster. This gravity group coaster has a ridiculously tight footprint with some good pops of airtime and sharp turns. The other amusement rides are on the smaller side. The water park only has a few slides, but one of them is the Mad Raft water coaster. It's among the weaker Master Blasters out there, but it's better than your average water slide for sure. The indoor section is mostly arcade games, which are interestingly included with your general admission ticket. This indoor section is popular on rainy days, but the park will keep the outdoor rides open even in a heavy downpour. This is another park I have a review on. Number 5. Kemah Boardwalk in Kemah. The second seaside park in Texas is another small one, but it is anchored by the best wood coaster in the state in Boardwalk Bullet. This gravity group coaster occupies just 1 acre of land, and it is a twisted mess of airtime hills, and the recent track work has it running like a dream. Then you also have a few flat rides, including an incredible drop tower, both in terms of power and the view. The other flats are not particularly notable though. This park is open almost every day and it has a very friendly staff, but the operations can be a bit spotty. You'll find rotating ride ops in quieter days, and dispatches are painstakingly slow here. But the park has a really cool atmosphere in an entertainment district with gorgeous views overlooking the bay. Number 4. Wonderland in Amarillo. This park is a bit off the beaten path, but has a really unique ride lineup. This park had a close relationship with Hopkins, and they provided a series of prototype rides for this park, including their first log flume, their first River Rapids ride, and their first roller coaster in Texas Tornado. Texas Tornado is a bizarre roller coaster. It has some really funky profiling, but it has some crushing positive G's in the valleys and vertical loops. This is why it's actually a really fun ride. The other coasters are also interesting. Cyclone is a miler wild mouse with absolutely no restraints and some terrifying hairpin turns. Mousetrap is a Pinfari Cyclone with a long 3-car train, so if you're in the back car, you get some awesome ejector airtime. And Hornet is an awkward coaster placed outdoors after it originally ran indoors at Astroworld. But where this park stands out compared to the others in the state is in the non-coaster department. You have 5 water rides, and you also have a wonderful dark ride and fantastic journey that reminds me of Waldemir's Wacky Shack. And then you have some great flat rides. Drop of Fear is a Mosier drop tower, and it's one of the most forceful drop towers out there. Texas Intimidator is an intense and disorienting flat ride that'll flip you non-stop. And then there's a rare Hoos Rainbow that is still operating here. I also love this park's old-fashioned mini golf course, and there are several observation rides too. The park has a lively atmosphere at night, but it doesn't look as nice as many of the other parks in the state. It sort of reminds me of a carnival in many areas, but the biggest issue with this park are the operations. The park has short hours even in peak season, sometimes opening for just 3 hours at most on a day. And many rides have minimum rider limits that can make it challenging to ride them unless you visit on a busy weekend. Number 3. SeaWorld San Antonio in San Antonio. Of the 3 SeaWorld parks in the US, this one is probably my least favorite, but it's still a good overall park. The park has 2 flaws. One, it feels a bit too big for its own good, but the park is filling in the dead spaces with their more recent additions. 2, the operations are erratic. The dispatches were extremely slow, and the park usually runs just 1 train in their coasters, and that's assuming they're open. I've seen at least 1 coaster close in each visit, and the park will not run them in any form of inclement weather. But they are great when you can get on them. Texas Stingray is a fast-paced wooden roller coaster. Steel Eel is a mega coaster with some of the best sustained airtime of any coaster. And then you have a good supporting coaster lineup with rides like Great White, Wave Breaker, and Journey to Atlantis. The park's flat ride lineup is rather small, but the non-coaster lineup is buoyed by all the animal attractions, ranging from exhibits to shows. Plus, the park looks beautiful with the giant central lake and lush landscaping. Just make sure you don't miss Discovery Point. This is actually outside the main gate of the amusement park, and this is where you can see the dolphins. Number 2. Six Flags Over Texas in Arlington. The original Six Flags Park is still one of the best in the chain. This park looks nicer than almost every other park in the chain. The theming in each area is better, and the park is extremely well shaded in a lot of areas, which is much appreciated on those hot summer days. The operations here are also strong as well. The park operates their coasters at their max capacities, and they usually don't stack the trains. This has resulted in manageable lines even on weekend days in summer and holidays. The ride lineup here is excellent as well. Let's start with the coasters. The lineup is deep with both quality and quantity. New Texas Giant is the prototype RMC, and it is an airtime machine. Shockwave is a forceful Schwarzkopf with intense positive Gs in the loops, and shockingly powerful ejector airtime in the drops, if you're in the back row. Mr. Freeze is an intense blend of positive and negative Gs. Titan is a giant hypercoaster that's light on the airtime, but the sustained forces will likely cause you to gray out. And then you have several supporting coasters satisfying both thrill seekers and families. For non-coasters, you have an extensive flat ride lineup with some supersized flat rides such as Superman Tower of Power Drop Tower, Texas Sky Screamer Starflyer, and the Riddler Revenge Frisbee. The park also has 2 dark rides. You have a modern shooter in Justice League Battle for Metropolis, and a classic in Yosemite Sam's Gold Rush Adventure that I hope reopens after the flood damage. On a hot day, you also have some options, including the first ever log flume in El Asadero. The park is well rounded in all areas. And coming in at number 1 is Six Flags Fiesta Texas in San Antonio. This is not only my favorite theme park in Texas, but it is also my favorite Six Flags park. I mean this as a compliment, but this park feels too nice to be a Six Flags park. It starts with that picturesque quarry wall that envelops the park. It's a really neat setting for an amusement park. And then the park has several themed areas that are extremely well done, with their architecture and landscaping. Plus, you even have themed queue lines, most notably the Funhouse one in Joker, and the storytelling one in Pirates of the Deep Sea. The park is prone to ride closures due to high winds due to its setting, but the operations are usually strong otherwise. And the ride lineup here is excellent as well. Iron Rattler is one of my favorite coasters anywhere with that quarry setting and the powerful airtime on the major drops. Wonder Woman is the prototype RMC Raptor with some intense airtime and flawless pacing. If you want inversions, Superman is the best floorless coaster with 7 great inversions and some unique quarry interactions. And then the supporting lineup is strong too, with rides such as Goliath, Poltergeist, Batman, and Roadrunner Express. For non-coasters, you have some great flat rides, most notably the Joker Carnival of Chaos Giant Frisbee and the Sky Screamer Starflyer that rises above the quarry wall. The park also has one of my favorite log flumes in Bugs' Whitewater Rapids, and the Gully Washer River Rapids ride will soak you to the bone. The park also has a decent dark ride in Pirates of the Deep Sea that is very well themed, and they did it themselves. And I also have to mention the brisket sandwich here. It is one of the best food items I've had at any theme park. It's juicy and oh so tender. This park is excellent in pretty much every area. So those are my top 10 favorite amusement parks in all of Texas. What is your favorite park in the Lone Star State? Or what do you think about any of the parks I talked about here? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this countdown, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.